G'day so-and-sos and welcome to my sewing room. My name is Kathy and this is Lucy Purr, and today's video is all about whether or not you can teach yourself to sew. And of course the answer is yes, of course you can. You can teach yourself how to do anything if you try hard enough, but I'll give you my top 5 tips for teaching yourself how to sew so that you can be successful in your new chosen hobby. So tip number 1, and not everyone is going to agree with me on this, and that's fine. Feel free to put your own feelings about it in the comments. I'm welcome to discussion. So it's don't buy secondhand. Now I'm talking about sewing machines. Sewing machines are the most temperamental things on the face of the planet, and they can be full of gremlins, which can be very, very hard to figure out. So if someone is selling a secondhand machine on Marketplace, you might not necessarily know what problems that machine has, if it has the correct bobbins in it, if the bobbin casing has been messed with, someone's messed with the tension a heap on it, which you should never do, just leave that alone. So you just don't know what's been done to it, when the last time it was serviced, if it's been oiled regularly throughout its life, a whole heap of things. So if you start off with a secondhand machine that has problems, then as a beginner, you might not be well equipped to be able to work out what is going on with that machine. Saying that, if you have someone in your life that is a sewer and does have a basic understanding of machines, or even, just someone that's good mechanically, then they might be able to help you. So if you already do have a secondhand machine, don't hate on me, persevere with it if that's what you want. But if it really is becoming incredibly frustrating, then think about maybe getting a new one. Now, new machines can range from about $80 up to in the thousands. And this is another reason why I recommend that you buy a new machine, is because different machines do different things. Well, they're good at different things. So if you want to get into quilting, then you are much better off buying a sewing machine that is designed for quilters. They have the extendable table, which gives you more room for your work. They're designed for that fabric wadding type thing. If you want to get into making, some basic tote bags, library bags, with the idea of getting into bag making, then something a little bit heavy duty would suit you a lot better. If you want to get into clothes altering or clothes tailoring, then again, you want a machine that's going to be equipped to do that, depending on the type of clothing that you want to make, whether or not you want a heavy duty machine or something that's better with light fabrics. So that's my advice for machines, is to find out, or have a think about what type of sewing you want to get into, research the type of machines that are good for that, and then watch the sales. Sewing machines go on sale regularly for like dramatic prices. You can get something that is 50% off. So if you're looking at a heavy duty Singer sewing machine, domestic I'm talking about, that's usually $500, it'll go on sale at some point for, maybe $250, $300. If you buy a secondhand machine off Marketplace for between $50 and $100, it's got issues. You have to put in for a service right away. That's going to cost you $100, $150. Where's your money better off spent? So that is tip number 1. So tip number 2, once you have your machine, is to actually get to know it. Read your manual, practice with it, practice winding and loading a bobbin, practice threading it. It is not the easiest thing to get right. Now, there are tips for threading your machine. Even after you read your manual and you see which way it goes, there are things that you need to do to make sure that everything works once you start sewing. I have another video on my channel talking about them, but briefly, it's things like making sure that the presser foot is up before you thread your machine. Even something like that, like having the presser foot lowered down while you thread it, can just make it not work no matter how many times you try. They are quite temperamental machines, especially when you are learning. So know your tools, read your manual, practice, know how to use it. Watch videos on how to use a rotary cutter, for example, how to cut fabric properly. It's like anything else. You're not going to go out and buy a tin of paint and a couple of paintbrushes and expect to paint the Mona Lisa the next day, are you? So get to know your tools. So tip number 3 is to start small. Now, there's 2 things that I mean by that. First of all, I mean small projects. You've gone ahead, you've figured out your sewing machine, you've learned how to thread it, wind a bobbin, you can do a straight stitch, and then you go on YouTube and find a tutorial to make a wedding dress. Maybe, setting your sights a little bit too high. Start small. There are lots of really fantastic small projects on YouTube that you can learn how to do. So, and then you build yourself up and you learn the fundamentals. Start small and then learn how to do a buttonhole and then move on and learn how to do a zipper. Cool. Now you've got those things in your toolbox. Now you can go ahead and learn how to make a little pouch or something that has a zipper in it. Then you can go on and learn how to do boxed corners. So you build up your toolbox step by step rather than just, trying to go from 0 to 100 all in one go, because you'll get frustrated with yourself and, you want to have fun. So tip number 4 applies to everything in life. Practice makes perfect. So you've learned how to thread your machine, wind a bobbin, you can sew in a straight line, you can figure out what's going on if your machine gets jammed, you can troubleshoot, you're cruising along really well. Now, I'm a bag maker, so we'll run with that. Just say you see a tote bag tutorial and you go, cool, I want to make that one. You go out and you buy some really beautiful fabric that you want for your project. That's great. The first thing you want to do is watch that tutorial from go to woe. Watch it all the way through and get it a little bit at least familiar in your head as to what the steps are and what that project involves. You might watch it and go, oh, I need something, a step down before I tackle that one. Or you might go, yeah, cool. But if you go, yeah, cool, at least you've got that, that familiarity with it and what's sort of coming up. You've already got it in your head. Then the first time that you do it, use a cheaper fabric. Don't use that beautiful fabric that you just bought. Have a practice run first. And with that practice run, just use scrap fabric or something that's a bit cheaper that you still like from the fabric shop that you could then, maybe gift to a friend or, use on weekends, whatever. Then once you've had that practice run and you've sorted out any issues that you might have, or you've made a mistake somewhere and you've learnt from that, then you can go ahead and use your beautiful fabric. Don't expect to just be able to watch something and be able to get it perfect the first time, because none of us get it perfect the first time. Tip number 5 is to have fun and enjoy yourself. Don't put pressure on yourself. Hobbies are meant to be fun, they're meant to be an enjoyable way to spend our time. But I think maybe more in our society, I don't know, but we just have this pressure on ourselves to be perfect and to make money and to be able to make something and put a picture on Instagram and people are going to love it, and to sell stuff on Etsy. And it can take the joy out of it, especially when you're beginning. So do it for the joy of doing it. Make things that you want to make, even if other people sort of scoff at them. Who cares? You're doing it for you. At the end of all my videos, I say, remember, it's only fabric. And that's what we need to remember, that it's only fabric. At the end of the day, it's just fabric. Reuse it, use it for something else, recycle, whatever. Just enjoy yourself. Okay, guys, that is it for me today. Have a good one, and remember, it's only fabric. See ya. Bugger.